The years between 1927 and 1947 were seen as the golden age of Hollywood. The films created during this time have been said to be the most powerful and prolific films yet. One of the reasons for this claim was the transition from silent films to talkies, as films with sound were called back then. The transition started in 1926, and the first talkie was The Jazz Singer, starring Al Jolson. The movie innovator D.W. Griffith once said, "We do not want now, and we shall never want, the human voice with our films." Even film's biggest stars were not able to realize the way filmmaking was going. Charlie Chaplin was one of these stars, and the struggle he went through can be mirrored in such films as The Artist. The transition into films with sound was controversial due to it ending some of Hollywood's biggest stars' careers. Some of those stars included John Gilbert, Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford, and Charlie Chaplin. The most well-known of those names would have to be Chaplin, who was best known for his role as the Little Tramp. He won the world's hearts with his talents in pantomime, and if he were to now speak English, he would become perplexing to half of his audience. Just like Griffith, Chaplin did not believe talkies would last. His opinions can be mirrored in John Dujardin's character George Valentine in The Artist. Valentine is unhappy when he is kicked to the curb by the arrival of talkies and swears that he can make it without the studio and while still making silent films. His life eventually is turned upside down and he was forced to live in a shabby apartment with his dog Uggy. Charlie Chaplin was and still is celebrated as a pantomime actor. He has studied and perfected the art, and when it came time to film his final film, in which he would portray the Little Tramp, a dialogue had been created for the character, though it was tossed immediately after trying to film only one scene. Chaplin did add sound effects to the film, though. Just as Chaplin had been described, Robert Ebert claimed Dujardin's face serves perfectly for the purpose here. More than some silent actors, he can play subtle as well as broad, and that allows him to negotiate the hazards of some unbridled melodrama at the end. I felt great affection for him. Dujardin's character Valentine tried to fund, write, and film his own silent film. Though he succeeded, the film was a failure and he lost all of his money. The Artist is not the only film to be a great description of what happened to the stars of the silent film era. There is also Sunset Boulevard. The film is about Norma Desmond, a forgotten silent star who lives her days in her empty mansion watching her old films on repeat. George Valentine loses his home, but he does watch his films on repeat as well. Roger Ebert said that Sunset Boulevard remains the best drama ever made about the movies because it sees through the illusions, even if Norma doesn't. Norma and George both have their love interests and handle their devastations in the same way. Their difference, though, is that Valentine found his way out of the darkness and Desmond let it kill her. The same can be said for many silent film stars. Sunset Boulevard shows the harsh reality that stars faced, while The Artist shows the few happy endings that were reached. The Artist is a beautiful New Age example of the harsh realities of the silent film era when it came to its end. It mirrors the journey the stars who found their way out of the dark faced. Though it may not show the tragic endings most stars face, it shows the happy ones that stars such as Chaplin were able to reach.